There was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job, and that man was blameless and upright, one who feared God and turned away from evil. There were born to him 7 sons and 3 daughters. He possessed 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, and 500 female donkeys, and very many servants, so that this man was the greatest of all the people of the East. His sons used to go and hold a feast in the house of each one on his day, and they would send and invite their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. And when the days of the feast had run their course, Job would send and consecrate them, and he would rise early in the morning and offer burnt offerings according to the number of them all. For Job said, "It may be that my children have sinned and cursed God in their hearts." Thus Job did continually. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came among them. The Lord said to Satan, "From where have you come?" Satan answered the Lord and said, "From going to and fro on the earth, and from walking up and down on it." And the Lord said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job, that there is none like him on the earth, a blameless and upright man, who fears God and turns away from evil?" Then Satan answered the Lord and said, "Does Job fear God for no reason? Have you not put a hedge around him and his house and all that he has on every side? You have blessed the work of his hands, and his possessions have increased in the land. But stretch out your hand and touch all that he has, and he will curse you to your face." And the Lord said to Satan, "Behold, all that he has is in your hand. Only against him do not stretch out your hand." So Satan went out from the presence of the Lord. Now there was a day when his sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their oldest brother's house, and there came a messenger to Job and said, "The oxen were plowing, and the donkeys feeding beside them, and the Sabaeans fell upon them, and took them, and struck down the servants with the edge of the sword. And I alone have escaped to tell you." While he was yet speaking, there came another and said, "The fire of God fell from heaven, and burned up the sheep and the servants, and consumed them, and I alone have escaped to tell you." While he was yet speaking, there came another and said, "The Chaldeans formed 3 groups, and made a raid on the camels, and took them, and struck down the servants with the edge of the sword, and I alone have escaped to tell you." While he was yet speaking, there came another and said, "Your sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their oldest brother's house, and behold, a great wind came across the wilderness and struck the 4 corners of the house, and it fell upon the young people, and they are dead, and I alone have escaped to tell you." Then Job arose and tore his robe and shaved his head and fell on the ground and worshipped. And he said, "Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked shall I return. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord." In all this, Job did not sin or charge God with wrong. The book of Job is part of the wisdom literature in the Old Testament, and it addresses deep theological questions about suffering, righteousness, and faith. Job 1 introduces Job, a man of great wealth, status, and piety, living in the land of Uz. He is described as blameless and upright, devoted to God, and turning away from evil. Job 1 lays the foundation for the rest of the book by presenting Job as a faithful man who will soon face extraordinary trials that test his faith and character. In the first chapter, 2 main scenes unfold: Job's wealth and faithfulness. Job is blessed with great wealth, possessing large flocks of livestock and a sizable family, 7 sons and 3 daughters. Despite his riches, Job remains a humble, devout servant of God. His devotion is evident in his regular offering of sacrifices on behalf of his children, fearing they may have sinned unintentionally. This showcases Job's righteousness and concern for his family's spiritual well-being. The Heavenly Council and Satan's Challenge. A heavenly assembly takes place, where Satan presents himself before God. God highlights Job's righteousness, to which Satan argues that Job's faithfulness is only due to his blessings and protection from suffering. Satan challenges that if Job's possessions are taken away, he will curse God. God allows Satan to test Job's faith by permitting Satan to destroy his possessions, but without harming Job himself. The nature of true faith. One of the central themes of Job 1 is the idea that genuine faith is not dependent on material blessings. Satan's challenge questions whether people serve God only because of the benefits they receive.